Canada, there's no such thing as parental rights, right? Children have rights.
Right.
And parents are basically there to support and affirm. Right?
Yeah.
Not to guide, not to correct, not to lead, not to discipline.
Yeah.
Because this is now the country that we live in. And this is why we have the issues that we have, right? Because this is the persuasive concept and philosophy.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're watching What Was That About? Thank you for joining us for today's episode. I am Moses Khan. I'm with Dr. Tony Saldano, who's the lead pastor here at All People's Church in Brampton, Canada. How you doing, Pastor?
I'm good.
Doing well?
Yeah.
This is our 100th episode.
Hey, congratulations.
That is amazing.
That is amazing. I don't know what the timeline is that we've done it, but yeah, 100 programs. That's
100 programs, yeah.
That's a milestone. That's
good.
an achievement.
Yes, it is.
So we thank God.
That's awesome.
We
thank you
thank
for
God.
joining us for all these episodes.
Thank you.
For your support, for sharing, for all of that good stuff that you're doing. Member of Parliament, quick transition there. You weren't ready for that. It was fast. I hope you had your running shoes on.
Yeah.
Member of Parliament, British Columbia, Randal Garrison.
Yeah, what I call the Communist Party of Canada.
That was funny,
NDP.
actually.
Yeah.
You made that joke. I laughed.
Yeah.
I want you to know that. Yeah, he made a statement, and he said, I want you to know in Canada, they were discussing things that are happening and whatnot, and he made a statement, gets up, loud and proud, and says, I want you to know in Canada, parents have no rights. There is no such thing as parental rights. Children have rights.
Children have rights. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that about?
What was that about?
What was that about? So, the context of, the interview, of course, the brouhaha that's happening in Alberta, where Alberta, passed these laws that, they're not going to allow minors to have puberty blockers and reaffirming surgery until they become of age of majority, which you would think is reasonable and logical that parents should actually be involved in these decisions. And of course, this individual, who by the way is openly gay, and that's important to the context of this program.
That's the cherry on top,
right?
Yeah.
He's openly gay, and he makes this statement that in Canada, there's no such thing as parental rights, right? Children have rights,
right?
And parents are basically there to support and affirm. Right?
Yeah.
Not to guide, not to correct, not to lead, not to discipline. Because this is now the country that we live in. And this is why we have the issues that we have, right? Because this is the persuasive concept and philosophy.
Yeah.
And, this individual, and I'm probably going to get passionate in this program, this individual has really stated what has really been their doctrine of belief.
Yeah.
But now that it's just in your face. We're just going to tell you the way it is. Here's what we think. Although we've seen hints of it, laws that are kind of being manipulated, parents being defeated in courts of law for the rights of children. And really because of an alternate lifestyle. Let's be honest. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So that is what this issue is really all about. But here's my point. We are at a place now that if we don't stand up to remarks like this, like if we'd have come out and said, hey, gay people don't have any rights in Canada. There'd be hell to pay.
Yeah.
There would, the prime minister, first of all, would lose his little skull. And just be on, every media outlet and homophobic and transphobic and all the rest of it. And every word that they could possibly name us. And by the way, it's not just people of faith. There are people that are not of faith that don't agree with this, that don't agree with giving minors puberty blockers and this reaffirming, surgery that has life-altering implications and not having any parental involvement. And as an individual that's going to have children soon, and I've got a grandson, this is incredibly concerning.
Very concerning. Very concerning. Especially because their whole life is ahead of them. And so think about all the tantrums you threw as a child of things you were determined you wanted, things you felt. When I was a kid, I used to watch this cartoon where the guys had, superpowers and whatever. And I was determined, maybe these superpowers are real. And so sometimes I would sit there and I would try to conjure up these superpowers. Here's what my parents didn't do. My parents didn't take me up to the roof of our house and said, hey, come on, why don't you jump off this roof and maybe your superpowers will come into play. No, my parents said, hey, this is a show and this is reality.
So I guess your parents, in that example, your parents were not supportive.
That's right.
And they were not affirming.
That's right. They completely destroyed my future.
They were poor parents because they didn't throw you off
That's
the roof.
right.
Wow.
Yeah, but think about all of the things that you get emotionally attached to, things that you think as a child, man, this is it. And you can't just give into that as a parent. And so, you know, you brought this up and I want you to share about it, but there's obviously this, they're so hypocritical because there are times where they want to give parents rights and now there are times where they want to remove those rights.
Right. So let's follow the logic. Whatever side of the equation you're on, I just want you to follow the logic, right? Because they say we need to be logical, reasonable, right? We've got to follow the science.
Yeah.
So science only applies when it's convenient. But so his statement is that children have rights. Okay, so let me follow your logic, Mr. Randal, okay? When this child is in the womb, right?
Come on.
You believe, because you're also pro-abortion, at that moment, you believe that the mother has the right to murder her baby. By the way, up to full term, right?
Right.
So when this child, this very same child that quote unquote has rights is in the womb, the mother has the rights to murder, abort the child. But the moment, you know, then the child is born and the child wants to make decisions, particularly to change their gender, to have reaffirming surgery, to get puberty blockers, all of a sudden that same woman had the right to destroy that life, now doesn't have any rights. Now the child has the rights.
Right.
Like, do you listen to yourself? Like, do you listen to the hypocrisy and the double-tonguedness that comes out of it? It's all about convenience. It's all about whatever the agenda is at that moment.
Right.
Then we will flip, we will flop. There's no consistency. There's no wisdom. There's no logic, even by your own standards. There's no reasonability in what you're saying. Your argument is completely flawed. And why? Why, Pastor Moses, do they want to remove parental rights? Because those are the people, the adults in the room, that are there to protect their children, by the way. Right? The children that they had as a mother and as a father.
That's right.
Right? A man and a woman who, by the way, are still the only humans that can have children. Follow that science. Right? And so remove them, and now these children are unprotected so that you can move in as the government. And by the way, historically, we know what happens to children when the government is involved, right?
That's right.
You know, when we look at it, even biblically, children are not given to the government.
That's right.
You know, they're given to parents. Now, I recognize that, do we have poor parents? Sure. Do we have abuse issues? Sure. Do we need to step in certain circumstances? Absolutely. But what you want to do is you want to step in every circumstance, right? Particularly to support this transgender movement, which, by the way, psychologists, not me, psychologists have called a mental illness. And now these children are vulnerable to make decisions that they are not mature enough to make. They're not. And by the way, when they get these puberty blockers, when they get the surgery, statistically proven, and they are coming out of the woodwork now, it doesn't change their mental health. It doesn't change their rate of suicide. It's not like your idea of solving their problem is solving their problem. So there has to be something. There has to be something different. But of course, and this is why I've always hated this phrase. It takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child. This is the village. In other words, we all have to be involved. We all have to be part of it. And the beauty or the irony of this whole thing is that within the village, the parents aren't in the village.
The parents got kicked out of the village.
The parents got kicked out of the village, and now it's the government and it's these agenda and the lobbyists and these people in the government that are making these statements, and they're intimidating parents. They're terrifying them. Hey, parents, we need to stand up. I applaud what's happened in Alberta. I think there needs to be more of this. because society is based on the family, and they are eroding the family. And look at the condition of our society.
Yeah.
We're not headed in the right direction.
That's it. That's it. Not to mention, they only want to push things that make the government money.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, this is big bucks.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to call it what it is. Follow the money. These surgeries, Pastor Moses, and these drugs, these are big. They don't care.
Huge.
You don't care about people.
Yeah.
What you care about is the almighty dollar. That's what it's about.
That's it.
You worship mammon. You know that there's big dollars in these surgeries, and that's what you're going to push.
Yeah, it's just another way for them to fund their agenda. And
I know I'm passionate about this, and I've said this before, Pastor Moses, right?
Yeah.
When these people wake up, these young people wake up one day and they recognize, wow, my life is destroyed. I wouldn't have made these decisions. Yep. The very people that are promoting, they're going to be nowhere to be found.
That's right.
They're not going to be accountable. Mr. 72-year-old Randal Garrison will nowhere to be seen. He won't be accountable. But he can spew these statements. The media loves it. They eat it up because they're all in it together. And anybody that stands up, whether it's a Pierre Poilievre or, I think her name is Danielle Smith. I mean, the ferociousness by which they come against you is unbelievable. Because the children have the rights unless they're in the womb. Then we give the rights to the mother.
That's right.
It's just, you're the biggest hypocrites.
Right. That's it.
Anyways.
Wow.
I've said my piece.
Well said. Well said. That was a good 100th episode.
Yeah. I thought so.
Hey, well, listen, thank you for joining us again for this episode. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, like this video, share it. And hey, listen, comment below what you think about this whole situation, their hypocrisy, and what's going on. If there's any future topics you want us to talk about, let us know in the comments as well. We love hearing feedback, and anything that you want us to talk about, take a look at and address. Yeah. Thanks for this conversation, Pastor.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you. We will see you next time.